You know, people were associating me with that Duke the Jeweler situation because I went to Boosie pool party and he happened to be there and he happened to be standing on me.
Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up. We met that dude Duke the Jeweler the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to make him.
There supposed to be a certain protocol for people to check in?
No, and I begin with me and then he can speak and they can speak for the other generation. But I'm a never, you know what I mean? We don't have time for no sucker shit like that. You know, now a lot of people from the different police departments and all these different people want to insinuate like we extorting people. They have to check.
Everybody in Texas know what the play is. If you rapping, you celebrity. If you like the strip club, you like to do this, you check in with them, they bringing them bad dice on you. Why you think they Duke the Jeweler, they really couldn't get him? That's why they had to come on home.
Because, you know, niggas be throwing rocks and hiding their hand, right? They be throwing rocks and hiding their hand. And I don't like them kind of individuals.
Boosie just shook the whole hip-hop scene to its core. He's officially copped a federal plea deal. And word on the street is this move could put J. Prince and his infamous Dice crew right in the crosshairs of the feds. If the whispers out here are even half true, we're not just talking about a basic gun case anymore. This could rip the lid clean off a major high-stakes dice game hustle that's been bleeding rappers dry for years. And here's where it gets wild. The same feds who've been digging deep into the murder of Duke the Jeweler and those shady dice games that went down before his death are now circling back on every single name connected to those nights, Boosie included. Now that he's sitting down with the government to work out a deal, everybody's asking the same question. Is Boosie just trying to save his own skin? Or is he about to start naming names that could completely crush one of the most feared crews in hip-hop?
He was walking to his car or something, and some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. See, some dudes had tried to rob me and walked off by himself, but I had just met dude yesterday. They tried to rob dude, man. Dude must ain't get up.
Spokesman Flight Jack, we're number 2 for departure. Flight attendants, please bear the captain.
Just met, he was in the garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in the garage. We heard this, but it like they was far away in the parking lot. He must have went to his car or something. Dude was finna make a piece for him too. Dang.
Because if the rumors got even a drop of truth in him, J. Prince, the man accused for years of running Houston's notorious check-in culture, might be about to feel federal heat you can't sweet-talk your way out of. And trust, the streets are already decoding every move, wondering if Boosie just put mob ties right on the menu for the feds.
Any real dude that's ever really been in LA, he checked in. Any real dude that's ever been in Atlanta, he checked in. If you moving and you getting money, you gonna check in because you need to know the right places to be and places not to be. That's a businessman.
They be checking in. That's y'all favorite thing to do. Check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Wow.
Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know in California got your back?
Industry, these street homie, they're projecting these rules and then coming here playing like they admirable men with street rules and street exit. Nah, homie, them look was set up that night.
Think about him. He's a clown. Like, I love the hip-hop culture. I'm in love with the hip-hop culture. Blood, sweat, and tears went in my movement for the hip-hop.
All this drama traces back to that deadly night, the dice game where Duke lost his life. So let's rewind.
Man, Lord.
If you've been in Houston long enough, you've heard the talk. Those friendly dice games that somehow, someway always end with the house on top. Dice games been part of H-Town's underground culture forever, but the ones tied to J. Prince Jr., whole different beast.
Where they could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three. I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against them up.
These aren't some casual matches in a dusty back room. Nah, these are invite-only, big money throwdowns with a strict check-in rule so the house always knows exactly who's playing. And according to the streets, there's a dirty little twist to these games that changes everything. Mob Tie's got a whole blueprint for how they run these so-called friendly games, and it's cold-blooded. Step 1. Lure in the rappers and high rollers, slide them into a private back room where the drinks keep coming, the cash piles up high, and the dice start dancing like they've got a mind of their own.
Entertainer invites him in, act like he's covering for him, hanging out, everything is cool. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go there. He introduces the dice game. He got 3 motherfuckers, right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me, it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators, right? He said what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right? Boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the 3 designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded.
Charleston's even dropped hints about it, but only a select few really know the full play. The setup, it runs like a well-oiled scam. They keep 3 guys in constant rotation. 1 rolls, 1 holds, 1 swaps. And those dice, please, they're not coming fresh out the box. They're cooked, weighted, shaved, and tweaked just right, so the odds lean exactly where Mob Ties wants them. The endgame's simple, the house always wins. J. Prince Jr. allegedly pockets around 30%, while everybody else walks out with lighter pockets and heavier regrets.
I gotta do my research, see what Judah might have been down there shooting dice. But nevertheless, to all the entertainers, you know, Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows, right? I don't know if y'all watched that. I was thinking about Daisy Dukes for a reason. I don't know why I said that. You know, one might go with it, may not go with it, but I don't know. If the math is math, and let it math. But entertainers, beware with J. Prince Jr. when he talked about let's go shoot some dice. Because the loaded dice crew is 3, Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice. We know Lil Cam in there because I believe somehow, some way he was caught up in the dice situation. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know this, J. Prince Jr. got a whole thing that when y'all come into town, hold on, bro. Didn't they say 5th Ward earlier that day shooting dice?
Yep, that's a fact.
But that all flipped the night Duke the Jeweler showed up. This wasn't some rookie stepping into a game over his head. Duke had just come from Boosie's concert, draped in millions worth of ice and walking with confidence that money can't buy. Somehow Duke ends up with dice that weren't meant for him. And just like that, he starts cooking. First he's snatching thousands, then tens of thousands, until he's sitting on nearly 100K. You can see it in the footage as the energy shifts instantly.
Man, Lord.
Smiles vanish, whispers start flying, and that laid-back vibe turns razor sharp. Because in a setup designed for you to lose, winning that big isn't luck. It's a threat. Minutes later, Duke's heading to his car. No bodyguards, no entourage, just him. Then, gunshots, chaos, and before anyone can blink, he's gone. Jewelry untouched, cash still in his pocket, which screams one thing. This wasn't a stick-up. It was a message. That night, Duke didn't just win a game, he broke the control of the system. And Duke wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a powerhouse in the jewelry game, a respected Chicago name with a client list packed with top-tier rappers, custom pieces worth millions, and a personality that made him a must-have presence at hip-hop's biggest events. So when Boosie invited him to Houston, Duke thought it was strictly business. Turns out, it was anything but. We already know Duke was ambushed while walking to his car in that parking lot. But what really made the feds sit up and take notice? The man still had every single piece of his jewelry on him. Even his Louis Vuitton bag and was stuffed with over $1 million in custom pieces never left the scene with him. That bag, it somehow ends up in Boogie's house.
We met that dude, Duke the jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot.
Now, Boogie's story is that Duke asked him to hold it during the game, and after the shooting, it just stayed in his possession. But come on, nothing about that sounds clean. Because here's the kicker. Duke's phone went dark right after it pinged near Boogie's recording studio. And according to federal investigators, they've got surveillance, text messages, and witnesses placing Boogie's circle right there in Duke's final hours. The heat gets even more intense when you hear this. The feds have zeroed in on Boogie's own nephew as the possible shooter. And instead of lumping this into Boogie's other legal mess, they split Duke's case into its own federal murder probe. That means it's not getting brushed aside, it's getting undivided, laser-focused attention. That Louis Vuitton bag, it's not just a bag anymore. It could be the key that put Boogie's name in federal files. And this is exactly why Boogie's plea deal has people thinking this ain't just about that 2023 gun case. Federal prosecutors didn't mix the murder with the other charges by accident. They did it to crank the pressure up. See, when the feds isolate a case like this, it's a power move. It lets them keep the spotlight burning on one investigation while dangling leniency in another, all in exchange for the answers they want. And the Duke case, oh, it's packed with landmines for Boogie's crew, landmines that could blow the whole circle wide open. First off, Duke's phone, the last digital breadcrumb of his final hours, pinged right by Boogie's recording studio before it suddenly went dark. That's not the kind of detail the feds just shrug off. Then you've got the physical evidence Prince allegedly found stashed inside Duke's rental car. And guess what? That evidence is tied straight back to people deep inside Boogie's inner circle. Now stack that with witness statements lining up in just the right places, and you see why investigators are tightening the noose. And here's the kicker. Boosie can't stop the streets from talking. Word is some of his own people have already started whispering. And once the feds get one person to crack, it's like dominoes. Stories shift, timelines get shaky, and the easiest way out for anyone caught in the middle is to hand the feds exactly what they're asking for. So picture this, you're Boosie sitting there with a federal gun case breathing down your neck, a murder probe on the side, and folks in your own crew possibly flipping. Suddenly, cutting a deal stops looking like betrayal and starts looking like survival. And in this case, there are only two names heavy enough to flip on: J. Prince Jr. or the big man himself, J. Prince. And here's where it gets dark. We've now got two of the most high-profile dice games under J. Prince Jr.'s watch ending in tragedy. Duke the jeweler, gone, just hours after leaving one of those games. Takeoff, shot dead right outside another. Different nights, different scenes, but the same blueprint. Big money, big names, and bullets flying before sunrise. Even industry voices are done biting their tongues. Whack 100 has come right out and accused J. Prince Jr. of being knee-deep in this mess.
Prince, over the years, the decades of doing whatever he's doing, he's been having a way of brainwashing people.
Oh, yeah?
To thinking he's doing one thing when he really up to a neck.
We're talking about setups so slick, most rappers don't even realize they're walking into a trap until it's way too late. These aren't friendly games. They're high-stakes ambushes where the house wins unless they decide you're allowed to. Even Charleston White has called them what they are: loaded dice traps run with tight control, where one wrong roll or one lucky streak can put a target on your back before you even touch your winnings. It paints a cold, ugly picture, an ecosystem where trust is a myth and every move is a shadow power play. And here's where it gets real dangerous. If Boosie actually starts naming names from the inside, this so-called check-in culture that's run Houston for years could crumble overnight. And when you bring up Houston's check-in culture, you can't ignore the quiet shakeups happening right now. The streets aren't the only ones feeling it. Insiders say some artists are already backing away from Houston altogether. No more shows, no more appearances where mob ties might be lurking. They're ghosting events and keeping their distance. No press releases, no public statements, just disappearing from the scene before anyone can connect the dots. Officially, J. Prince Sr. swears there's no rule about checking in, but behind the scenes, the pressure's still there, just packaged differently, pushed through J. Prince Jr.'s network. And after 2 high-profile deaths tied to dice games, even the boldest names in hip-hop are asking themselves, is it worth it? And it's not just fear of catching stray bullets. The real danger is getting caught in the politics. Once you're in Houston's dice scene, it's not just about the money you win or lose. It's about the alliances, the egos, and who's standing next to you when the vibe flips from celebration to chaos. Veterans in the game have been warning the young cats for months. Stay out of it. Because once you're in, you don't get to walk away clean. Take Finesse 2 times, for example. 1 minute, he's standing shoulder to shoulder with J. Prince Jr. The next, he's blasting their bad blood all over the internet. He's claimed he got shorted on money, hinted at serious disrespect behind closed doors, and then came the whispers about a messy baby mama situation that cracked their alliance even further. Whether those rumors are real or just street chatter, they fed into a bigger picture. J. Prince Jr. losing allies quicker than he can find new ones. And it's not just artists feeling the tension. The labels are clocking all of this too. With the dice game headlines and the violence circling around them, record execs are quietly warning their rosters, stay far away from that scene. Because here's the truth, one bad headline can kill an album rollout overnight, and no brand wants to be connected to a situation that's one Instagram live away from turning into a full-blown crime scene. Which is exactly why, if Boosie decides to open his mouth and start naming names, it won't just shake Houston, it could send shockwaves through the entire rap industry. But let's keep it locked on mob ties for a second. Most of the drama so far has played out in the court of public opinion. But behind the curtain, the feds are said to be working a much bigger play, one that might even link directly to Houston's own police department. Recent federal sweeps in the city haven't just picked off low-level street guys, they've dismantled entire operations. We're talking drug rings, violent crews, everything from the shooters on the block to the money men at the top. Agencies like the FBI, DEA, ATF, and ICE have all been teaming up with HPD to pull these takedowns off. And that's the part mob ties should be worried about, because this is the exact kind of federal blueprint they could use if they decide Houston's most infamous crew is next on the list. If the feds do turn their full attention toward mob ties, it's not going to be some flashy overnight bust. This is the kind of case they build slow, brick by brick, until there's nowhere left to run. First, they'll lean on the weakest links, low-level players, hang-around associates, anybody with just enough dirt on their hands to be scared. Once one cracks, the chain reaction begins, and Houston's seen this play before. In past sweeps, the feds didn't just scoop up the obvious suspects, they went after the drivers, the lookouts, the money handlers, even the people who just happened to be there when deals went down. Every single one becomes a puzzle piece, and when those pieces start snapping together, the picture gets ugly fast. That's why whispers about a bigger target in these dice game investigations have got the city buzzing. Some believe the Duke the Jeweler case and the Takeoff shooting aren't just separate tragedies. They might be key chapters in a larger story the feds are writing. And if they can tie those events into a single network of players, that's when RICO charges start getting thrown around. And RICO is a game changer. The real danger for mob ties isn't just the evidence, it's the fact that the rap game is already shifting around them. Artists are keeping their distance, industry doors are closing, and if Boosie's plea deal leads to actual names being dropped, the domino effect could strip away that layer of fear and influence they've built for years. And let's be real, once that fear is gone, people talk. They talk about the dice games, the check-in culture, the backroom deals, the power moves nobody was supposed to see. The feds don't need everyone to flip, they just need the right one. So now the question isn't if mob ties can survive the street chatter, it's whether they can survive a federal investigation designed to take down every single piece of the operation, from the shooter to the man at the top of the pyramid. And if history is any clue, when the feds start circling like this, it's only a matter of time before the hammer drops. The whispers in Houston are getting louder. Talk is, there are already unsealed warrants connected to mob ties, the kind that can quietly flip into late-night arrests without warning. And with HPD's Criminal Intelligence Division moving in lockstep with federal task forces, every handshake, every quiet favor, every off-the-record play inside that network is now under a microscope so sharp, it's catching details most people thought were invisible. But here's the scary part. It might only take one smoking gun to blow this whole thing wide open. Imagine a leaked video from one of those high-stakes dice nights, footage showing exactly who was in the room, who was stacking and counting the money, or who gave the nod for certain moves to go down. That wouldn't be gossip anymore. That would be case-closing gold for the feds. And that's where Boosie's position turns deadly tricky. If he really is working with the feds, they could offer him protection in exchange for everything he knows. But in the streets, that protection can backfire hard. Because once people start believing you're feeding the other side, your name stops being whispered in back rooms. It starts being mentioned in threats. This isn't just about a plea deal anymore, and it's about survival. The question is, does Boosie have the stomach to play both sides until the dust settles, or will he get swallowed up before he even makes it to the finish line? What do you think? Is Boosie just trying to save himself, or is he ready to hand over names that could change Houston forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. And make sure you check out the video on your screen right now for even more jaw-dropping celebrity drama.